Hello and welcome. In today's video we are going to be covering one of the most savage engine swap vehicles in the game. We are looking at the Nissan Silvia S15 Touring car. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, for the first time in Gran Turismo 7 we are able to engine swap a race car. Yes, this is a Group 4 vehicle. So yes, this is not the highest pinnacle of race cars that you can get in the game, but it is still a race car nonetheless. And in my opinion, the S15 is one of the best Group 4 vehicles, because any Group 4 vehicle that is rear wheel drive, has decent power and has good brakes makes for a good Group 4 vehicle. In fact, makes for a good race car, and the Nissan Silvia meets all of the criteria. This car produces a staggering 355 brake horsepower, which might not seem like a lot, but it does only weigh 1000 kgs. 1000 kgs on the dot. Now, with it being a race car, there isn't much of a change that you can do to the overall performance of the actual vehicle. But what you can add is a high RPM turbocharger, which increases the power by almost 200 brake horsepower, bringing the grand total up to 542 brake horsepower. So a figure like that is still very reasonable for this car, because it is still able to handle it. You won't have that much slippage, but you will still be able to get the rear end to slide out. Now, this is a controllable amount of horsepower, because once you start adding over 1000 horsepower, then the car starts going off the deep end. Now, luckily, you can only get it up to 542, but that's the thing. This is with the standard engine. And in today's video, we are looking at engine swapping this vehicle. So the Silvia gets a very special engine, as it is getting the engine from the Nissan GTR R35. So this should be very interesting. If we compare the standard Nissan GTR motor to the fully upgraded SR20 that comes in the touring car, we see that the GTR's engine produces 50 more brake horsepower. However, it does weigh 50 more kgs. But this means absolutely nothing, because unlike the standard S15's engine, where you are limited on what you could do and you could only add a turbocharger, with the GTR's engine you have full reign, you have complete carte blanche. If you throw on every possible upgrade you can to the engine, you will end up with a whopping 946 brake horsepower. And if you have an ultra high RPM turbocharger, you can see that number increase even more. But when you actually experience the car out on circuit, do you understand how much of a monster this beast actually is? Now, with the 900 horsepower going to the rear wheels, you would expect it to have no traction, but somehow it does. And the car is a very planted setup. The thing is, I have not touched the tuning of this car at all, to the point where it still has the standard transmission in. And the car actually redlines doing about 289 kilometers per hour when you reach the end of the first straightaway. Now, going around the turns, the car is still planted. Yes, compared to when the car was standard, where you could take all of those S's flat out, with the engine swap, it is a different story. You are actually forced to let off or else go into the barrier. Now, that's your decision. As you can see, coming down the hill, and once I landed, because all 4 of my wheels were off the ground, the only thing that was making contact with the ground there was my rear diffuser. And that goes to show you, this car literally takes off. And now the problem is, when you do come to land, the car is a bit twitchy. You saw I was struggling a bit there, but we still managed to keep it intact. Now, the car is incredibly fast. It is so much faster than having the standard engine fully upgraded. And that's a given, because the car produces almost double the horsepower. So obviously it's going to be faster. Now the thing is, do I think this is worth it? Obviously, the engine swap changes the car's performance drastically, in fact. But if you aren't able to engine swap this vehicle, you aren't really missing out so much. By me saying this, I mean the actual performance and handling of this vehicle it's the same. Now, the standard vehicle, yes, it does take turns around the same rate, and the only place where you really notice it is on the straightaways, that you see, okay, the engine swap version has so much more capability. That's the only place. Around the turns, they handle exactly the same. But with this engine swap, it turns everything up to 11. Now, this is one of the better engine swaps in my opinion, and that's because of the starting vehicle. We aren't swapping it into some old 90s car or into something that isn't set up for handling a lot of power. The touring car is. This is what it was made to do. It was made to go around corners fast, have a lot of downforce, and just handle and be capable to control a lot of power. So this is actually, in my opinion, one of the better engine swaps. Now look, it's not 1,000 horsepower, it's not lighting up the rear wheels, it's not trying to kill you. But this car knows what it's there to do. It's there to get you around the circuit as fast as possible. That's why with the R35 engine swap, this is one of the better vehicles to actually put this engine swap into. So it's this, and then also the Lancia Delta. In my opinion, those are the two cars you need to engine swap if you get the opportunity to swap in an R35 engine. Now, the Silvia is quite a tricky car to tune. As you can see now, with the livery being white, this is my personal tune and setup, and I actually struggled to find a good tune for the car. Now, it takes a lot of work to fine tune the vehicle to have the perfect setup, because even with me tuning the vehicle, I still feel like there is a lot more that the car can offer, but I'm just unable to tap into it. Now, I have seen other people also complain about the same issue, that it is quite a difficult car to tune because it's not a standard road car. This is actually, it's a race car, so a race car handles differently to normal street cars. So that's my only issue with this engine swap. But other than that, I have no issues with this car. I feel like it performs incredibly well. It handles amazingly. It looks great, but I mean, looks are in the eye of the beholder. This is a great vehicle to engine swap, and I love that Gran Turismo has now given us the chance to engine swap a race car. I never expected it, and I love to see it. And if you would love to see more engine swap videos, you can watch this video on screen now. With all this being said, thank you so much for watching. Peace.